Hello, Wadikani, and welcome back to the Children's Chimurenga. I'm Rosemary Nyabaza, and this is my second video. I think I'm going to do 3 videos today because I'm going to start strong, and I've got notes on a board over here that I can look at, and I thought that all the notes were going to go in one video, and then I did the first video, and I didn't even look at the board and didn't use anything on the board. So that's what happens, I suppose, when spirit is speaking, and that's what I really call in, is for spirit to be our guide in our healing journey together. Okay, so the board. Okay, so I've got a note that says the perfection of babies. So when I see patients in my surgery, and I see people who often, like I have as well, accept situations that they would never wish on anybody else, accept treatment that they would never wish on anybody else. These are good people, you know. We are all good people. And, you know, people who will accept abuse, who will accept mistreatment, who will accept injustice. And when I ask them, and then they often come because they're anxious or depressed or living in very difficult circumstances that they feel powerless to change, and powerlessness or learned helplessness is something that goes very much hand in hand with depression, and it's just a point at which, and they see it in depressed mice as well in experiments, where when someone is so depressed, they just become so demotivated, and there's obviously a spectrum of it, and all of us could be anywhere on the spectrum, from the person who just can't get out of bed for 3 years, can't get out of bed, to a person who can't leave that job where their boss is mistreating them, or can't stand up for themselves and demand to be treated with respect or in the way that they expect to be treated. So this is learned helplessness, a feeling of powerlessness. And these people are accepting or feeling powerless in situations that they would never dream of wishing or swapping with somebody else. They would never say to somebody else, "You try this," or I want my child to grow up like this, and yet they accept it for themselves. So there's 2 issues here. Number 1 is, how did they learn that this was okay, or this is okay for them to experience? Why is this okay for them? And number 2, what is self-love and the expectation of self-love? And then I guess the thing that follows on from that in terms of future generations is, if we are accepting these kinds of situations for ourselves, then what can often happen is that we block ourselves off from our emotions and from the real taste of being alive, because it's too difficult to experience otherwise. So you just block yourself off, and that's when we can be a bit, standoffish or a bit angry, or we end up having layers of personality or walls or barriers to protect us, and we can also use substances such as alcohol, any addictive substance, food, media, any consumptive behavior, like I mentioned in the previous video, to help put a layer between our suffering and ourselves. But also, by doing so, we are not fully experiencing what it is to be alive. And so it makes us more, it increases the possibility that we are going to perpetuate the same onto our children, because we are not seeing and feeling fully. And so we do not see and feel fully the impact that our behavior has on our child. So the perfection of babies is something that I connect with very deeply, and something that I feel I find when I give this as an example to my patients, they just go bing, like, oh, I get it. And the reason they do is because I think we all have a connection with this part of ourselves still. And, we are all reminded of the innocence and perfection of babies pretty much on a daily basis, depending on where you live and who's in your circles. And that can be a very, very inspirational, light-bringing moment to help to awaken us out of any stagnation or any hiding or any blocks that we are putting between ourselves and the true taste of life. So what I often say to people is, what it is like to see a newborn baby or a very small child, a child under, let's say, 1 year, 6 months, that kind, small child, and how 100% innocent, shining, beautiful light, the light of God, like that is the point at which we are closest to God in this whole journey of being a human from birth to death. That moment of being born, those first few months are the most sacred beings on this planet. The angelic ones are these pure shining light babies, and each and every one of us was one of these. And we never stopped being one of these. We still are one of these angelic, shining light, purity and innocence embodied babies within ourselves. But we have had this covered over by conditioning and by the experience of life, in the life in which we have been born to, the life we have chosen to be born into, for the particular lessons that it is going to give us over the course of our lifetimes. So if you think of these little babies, ourselves, you would never harm or hit this child. A baby, you would never do that. Never. So when does it become okay to do so? Why suddenly at 3 or 4 or 8 or 14, or your husband or your wife or your sisi or somebody, kubasa, or when does it become okay? If it was never okay to harm or be violent towards a baby, then when did it become okay? Considering that baby is there in that person all the time. It's not okay. It's not okay, but somehow we were taught, conditioned, exposed. We were given the experience that it was okay. We were either hit ourselves, or we saw people being hit. We were either harmed ourselves, or we saw people being harmed, and it became normal because these pure innocent children, these blank canvases, learn everything from us. We learned everything from the people around us, everything we know. But and this is a very wonderful clue as to the nature of reality, because then it shows us that everything is just everything that we see, everything that we believe, everything that we perceive, how we choose to see, perceive, and believe, is all a factor of the immediate surroundings that we were in when we were growing up. And those things can be seen and erased or deleted as necessary. So we are not stuck in the situations that we are in. We are not stuck in the minds that we're in. Everything is malleable. We are not our minds. Our minds are the accumulation of these conditionings. So if we think of these conditionings like computer programs, our minds are just the hardware. The conditionings are the software, the programs. And we can change the software. We can update the software. And this is what I'm inviting us all to do. So is to remember our purity, to remember our sanctity, to remember spirit in us. Not spirit, not religious spirit, not spirit that we've been told, spirit that you sit and you breathe in and out, and it is the life, it is the oxygen going in and out, it is the miracle of being alive, not something that has been taught to you by somebody else, not based on words or anything like that, completely based in the connection of you to yourself. Nobody can preach to you about that. Nobody can tell you anything about what it is like to be you, breathing the way you breathe in your own body, in your own air. Nobody. And this is the first place of trust, because we could be having completely different experiences. We are having completely different experiences right here, right now. I can say to you the sky is blue, and somebody else can say the sky is pink, and we won't know who's right. And it doesn't matter who's right. What matters is your experience and what you choose to make of your experience. And then what we will find is that all of our experiences are connected. So a lot of things just start with an intention, with a desire, or even being fed up, but with a deep desire to achieve or attain or to feel something. And so I invite you to set the intention to, on a daily basis, get to know your inner child self, your one who, even before you were born, like when you were in your mother's womb, to get to know yourself. And you can do, it's possible to just sit on your own in some quiet time, in some quiet space, and close your eyes and take yourself all the way back to the moment you were born, and to send the light of God shining as you are right now, helping God, being God, to shine love to that child as they're being born. You can see the midwife's hands catching you right now. You can see the surgeon doing a C-section, pulling you out by your leg or whatever, and you are there, and you're saying to yourself, I wish you all love, I wish you all peace, I wish you all joy. I'm here for you, and this is going to be a beautiful journey. It's not going to be easy all the time, but I want you to know that I love you, and I'm with you on this journey, and I want you to have the most beautiful experience possible. And you can even tell yourself, when you're 5, it's not going to be easy, because you left the gate open, or you didn't leave the gate open. But don't worry, it's okay, because when you're 35, you're going to learn that actually that was an amazing learning experience, because now you're having your first baby, and you have made the commitment to never ever treat your child in the way that you were treated. And so now you have made a change for the rest of your familial line. And you can say that to that baby who's just been born, or you can even say it to the baby you are in the womb. And this is how we heal ourselves, going backwards. That kind of went in a different direction than I expected, but I salute you, and I'm grateful for you and for us and for the perfection of our beings that we each are. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.